Hello. All right. Can you hear me? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining, by the way. Oh, sorry, double guns. So, can you hear me? Testing, testing. Ruby. Can you hear me? Let me know. All right. So, yeah, I just did a live. Oh, let me turn this down. Okay, before I get into the show, let me know if you guys can hear me. Put it in the comments. I know there's a bit of a lag time always. So, yeah. Yeah, I did a live earlier today on Instagram. I did post a link in the, you can check out my Instagram. You can find it there. in the feed. Yes, we can hear. Okay, good. So, thanks for coming to the show. So, I appreciate the thumbs if you give it, so Google's algorithm knows what to do. Yeah. Anyhow, so I did a live earlier today on Instagram where I had a discussion with Matthew, who's a professional developer, and we're talking about ChatGPT, how he's using it at work and how other developers are using it at work. And I also wanted to discuss a bit about it in terms of learning how to code, how to deepen your skills as a developer. So I appreciate you hitting the like. All right, we'll see who's here. All right, good. All right, cool. Oh, I gave this down out of space. Satoshi. Bonsoir, Steven. Hey, it's a Geek Viking. How are you, man? Fellow Montrealer. Yes, sir. Good. That's good. That's cool. So, I used to do lives all the time, but due to a persistent, not very persistent, but still troubling, slightly troubling health issues, it's sort of sapped the energy out of me. Nothing too serious. Just it's lasted so long, months and months. So it's been a bit of an annoying thing for me. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, but I'm back. My energy is coming back more and more. So I'm gonna do more lives. So I want to make a couple announcements here, and then we'll talk about ChatGPT. If you don't hear me clearly, or if there's ever any technical glitches, just let me know, and I will address it as best I can. So, yeah. All right, so ChatGPT. So I'm going to address some of the fear that people have about this. I'm going to address that. I've talked about it again. Don't fear the ChatGPT. Embrace it. It's definitely one of the a big leap in terms of the technology space in general. I think the last thing we saw that was as big as this was perhaps, you could argue, the introduction of the iPhone, the smartphone. So that might be the last big thing. So this is going to, will it change the face of development? To a certain extent, gradually over time. It's not going to be like this. Will developers disappear? No chance. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the thumbs as well. It's not going to destroy developer jobs. It's going to change them. So some types of development will go away. So for me, on the chopping block will be algorithm writers. Now, I've been saying for years now that to test for algorithm skills and data structure skills beyond the basics was just a waste of time. Like I explained, so a lot of jobs still, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of jobs where they will give you these silly tests in terms of algorithms or these silly tests in terms of data structure knowledge. Again, any beginner's course, any good foundation training will give you enough what you need to know to do that. But here's the thing. Most jobs, you never really have to get too deep into data structures, except for maybe good relational database design. And most jobs, when I say most, 99% of coding jobs, and most jobs, you hardly ever have to write any advanced algorithms. The bottleneck in most development, if there's bottlenecks, is going to be in the database access. So that's about proper database structures. And so I'm talking about relational databases. So this whole, if you're Facebook or you're Google, where you have heaps of data, huge amounts of data, and you want people to write software to operate on that data, then yes, of course, you got to have some good skills in terms of algorithm writing. But most people are not working on these type of projects, right? So what I would, so how does this relate back to GPT4? We're at number 4 now, which is a big leap from 3.5. Where GPT and other AI tools really shine is on finite chunks of code. So I could see, I would have to test this. I could see where you could take an algorithm, present it to GPT-4 and say, can you optimize it? And it will optimize it. Or you say, I want to write an algorithm for this or that, the other thing. It will write highly optimized code for you. So the algorithm writing days are numbered, that's for sure, in my opinion. But you got to understand, most professional development, coding is just a slice of the job. The code that you write is just a slice of the job. So this erroneous fear, this fear that somehow AI is going to take over your coding jobs, it couldn't be further from the truth. Do not be concerned. Do not be concerned. So that being said, well, look, there's even Ruby jobs these days, right? If you can imagine that. That being said, you should embrace GPT in terms of speeding up your development. So I was just talking, you can watch the stream on Instagram. This Matthew, professional developer, trained with me in my mentoring program and got his jobs. And he was saying he uses GPT to get to answers quickly. So he's got problems to solve for his job. And so he uses GPT to get to answers where otherwise he would have gone to Stack Overflow. But he just gets to it so much more quickly because Stack Overflow, as you know, you might have to dig through all kinds of answers to get something that works for you. Even the same thing with Google. If you go to Google, which a lot of times will take you to Stack Overflow, but if you go to Google, even if you go to Google, a lot of times you got to dig for the answer. So GPT is just takes it to a whole new level. So as an aside, I personally will not be investing in Google right now. I'm not saying it's going to get decimated, but I think that GPT combined with Bing, I don't know, I think it's going to take some of the steam off of Google. I'm not sure how much, because GPT is not going to help much about checking out a local restaurant or something. But in terms of getting to detailed questions and so on, it's pretty cool. Don't forget the likes if you don't mind, guys. We have 68 people watching and there's only 17 likes, which is not the best. All right. Let me see if I'll answer a few questions to get things going. Let me know, by the way, in the comments as usual, let me know where you're from. So say K Martin from the Virginia, from Virginia in the US. Very cool. Freddie from the UK. High Tech Life from Ottawa. Very good. California. Kuala Lumpur, Algeria. We have a very big international clients. J Crispy SSB. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. Move this over a little bit. Get this at a bit of better angle here. Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah. George from Greece. From India. All right. Sam Baji, I guess. Sadanadi. I probably said that last name wrong. Mohammed Baki. 2 lives in a row, Uncle Steph's on fire. Yeah, I did a live on Instagram. I'm starting to feel better, so I'm back to my trying to slowly revive my old live schedule. I like doing the lives. So before I jump back into ChatGPT, I'm just going to let you know that I used to do a Coder in a Car series. I used to drive around in my car and shoot video and do live sometimes. So I'm going to be bringing that back starting 30, 40 days, something like that. I had to sell my old car. I used to have an Audi S5 convertible. Love that car, but I started spending too much time going to the garage. Problem with the German sports cars, that when they start to break, they really start to break. It was expensive to fix, but that wasn't the big problem with it. The big problem was always being in the garage and lack of liability. That was an issue for me. So I said, okay, that's it. I'm dropping this thing. And I waited until now, and I bought a new vehicle. I bought an SUV. First time ever. I bought an SUV, which is going to be a lot easier for me to do my live. So that's coming out soon, Coder in a Car. I'm also thinking of maybe getting into Twitter Spaces. I don't know if you guys use that. Let me know. What do you prefer? Like, if you put in the comments, let me know. I'll take a look. What do you prefer? Do you like YouTube Lives? Do you prefer Instagrams? Do you prefer maybe we do Twitter Spaces? So with the Instagram, I did a conversation with somebody, experienced developer. We went back and forth, answered question, we talked. It was kind of cool. With the Spaces, I just did a trial Spaces a month or so ago, and we only had only 10, 15 people showed up, but it was kind of cool because we can get a whole bunch of people participating. It's voice only. So let me know in the comments or in the chat or both, whatever. What do you prefer in terms of presentations? Let me know. I'm getting back into it, so I want to get some feedback from you guys. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Okay, good, good, good. All right, yep, 5x5. Bonsoir, bonsoir. I saw him, Mr. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Web Developer Ninja. How you doing, man? Very cool. Aye, all right. Wash hands. Some India. All right, Mohammed. Hello, Steph. I am from Algeria, North Africa. I work as Android developer. I have experience as freelancer and now working in ride-hailing company. Can I get a job in Canada? You're going to have to build up your resume, build up your LinkedIn profile, maybe your Twitter, show them the type of work you can do. Make sure you can communicate well, you can speak English or French well, depending on where you want to live in Canada. Canada is part French, so if you're in Quebec, which is the eastern part of Canada, you have to know how to speak French. That is for sure. And so you got to get people's attention that way. GPT is a tool. That's all it is. Pretty much, James Foreman. You know, one thing I was discussing in the Instagram stream earlier today was that I believe personally that people who are afraid of ChatGPT, they think all the jobs are over. I think these are people who likely have never worked as professional developers, because every professional developer I know who has used it, they're not concerned about it at all, because they see what it is and they understand what the true development life is like. Writing the code is an important part, but it's just part of the process. So ChatGPT will help speed up the whole code writing process by a big deal, but it isn't going to replace coders anytime soon, ever. I can't say ever, but for a long time. You can be well into your retirement before that happens. What will happen, though, as I said earlier in the stream, certain jobs will disappear, like algorithm writers and so on. But it's just that's okay, because A, those were not too many jobs anyway, and B, a lot of other development jobs, I think, will be created as a result of AI and GPT. That's really what I think is going to happen. I've seen this before many times, where a new technology comes up, it destroys an old way of development or old way of coding, but a whole new area develops as a result, and is usually bigger and much better. So for example, in the early 90s, when I started writing web apps, 94, 93, even much of 95, and a few more years afterwards, I would imagine, everybody was writing web apps with Perl CGI or C-based CGI programming, Common Gateway Interface. It was the way we built web apps in the day. Then we built static sites with HTML. Well, CSS was really a thing. But at some point in time, the content management system came about, things like WordPress and Drupal and Joomla, and there's others. And a lot of web designers were like, oh no, that's it for web design, it's over. And yes, static page web design started to compress in terms of how many people wanted that, but it was just replaced by a multiple with content management system based gigs and jobs, which in some ways simplified web design, in other ways introduced a whole slew of complexity. But the advantage was we have much more robust, much more complete websites, even in the basic websites. So in the end, it didn't destroy jobs, it just changed the market. See that with GPT and other AI tools that come out. It's just going to change the market. So what is my recommendation for people learning to code? Now that you see GPT is on the scene, should you be fearful? Are the jobs over? Are the entry level jobs over? No. What you should do, though, is after you have your fundamentals, because to work with GPT at its fullest, really, you should know what you're doing. You should have a good understanding, grasp of the fundamentals. The fundamental languages, the fundamental paradigms, the fundamental techniques. You don't have to be an expert, just grasp the fundamentals. Once you have that, you can supercharge your learning with GPT. You'll save so much time having to do a lot less research, ask less questions of people. With GPT, you can put questions to it and get really good summary answers. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Soon we'll go into Q&A, by the way. So I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to launch something. I recorded this video, And I plan on publishing this on YouTube fully edited, but I'll give you a sneak peek here. So I went on GPT recently, and how do I get this? Hold on a second. All right, here we go. So I went on GPT recently, and yeah, so here I am. And I went on and I said, okay, let's check out, let's see what it does. So I'm going to ask it some questions about ES6. So let me scroll forward. So I asked this question here. Write a JS function that targets an element with the ID of footer. Now you notice I know what I'm talking about, right? This is a question that a beginner or somebody who doesn't know anything about web development is going to be able to ask, right? So I asked that question, and GPT, within a few moments, proceeds to write me that function right here. Here it is. Now, what's really cool, though, is that then the AI then gives you a description of what it's doing and why it's doing it. Pretty cool, right? Now, the thing about GPT is then you can have a conversation with it. So I say, okay, let's have a conversation with it. So I go down here and say, can you write the above code with ES6? Without ES6. Because you notice here, it used const, which is something, if you don't know JavaScript, const is a variable type that is new to ES6. Before in non-ES6 JavaScript, it used the simple universal var. So you wrote it in var. So it wrote in var to create the same thing, and it gave an explanation why. Say if this function does exactly the same thing as the ES6 version, but it uses the older var keyword that declares the footer element variable of the const keyword. The rest of the code is identical. In general, ES6, so it gives you context here, which is very cool. So it says in general, ES6 syntax is more concise and easier to read than older JavaScript syntax, but it's not always supported in all browsers. So anyway, it goes on. So I continue. I say, okay, that's very cool. So it's giving me an explanation. Let me go there. There we go. So I say, can you give me the basic outline of ES6? So I want to know, why are we using ES6? So it goes in and it gives me the 9 points here, which are very cool, right? So anyway, I'll stop here. But the point is that you can see what ChatGPT is so superior than going to Stack Overflow or Google, because you can get your answers pretty quickly, but at the same time, you can get some explanation, context, and then you can have a conversation with the AI, and that conversation could give you more answers. So imagine, but one thing you have to understand, if you look at what I did, I had an idea what was going on. I had a basic understanding of JavaScript. So I was able to put questions to it that were intelligent, get answers, be able to interpret those answers, get some feedback. So imagine you learn the fundamentals of the web, just the basics of what HTML is, just the basics of CSS, just the basics of JavaScript, right? And then you could go to ChatGPT and you can start using it to, it's like having almost a virtual tutor, right? Go back and forth, get answers. But again, I would suggest that you get that solid fundamentals first. Any decent course will do that. And then you'll be able to go in there and go deeper into any direction you want to go. You have to understand, as a professional developer, this type of research, if you will, is going to be par for the course. So what do I mean by that? I got to take a drink here. Just tea, nothing special. I've gotten so old that I don't drink alcohol anymore. Coffee can give me gastric reflux, so now I'm down to tea and water. What are you going to do? Yeah. So as a developer, any pro developer will tell you it's a process of constantly learning new things. It may seem heavy to you. It may seem heavy. Oh, I don't want to learn always. I don't want to always have to learn. That's just part of the game. And trust me, it gets pretty easy once you know what you're doing. You can pick up new languages in a day or two. It's not a big deal. So this is where ChatGPT will come in super handy, where I just showed how there's this interaction, this conversation that you can have, where you get examples of the code, but also a breakdown of what's going on, what's the thinking behind the code, which makes it very cool. So normally I would do this. When I started coding, I used to do this I used to buy computer books. And then one day, Google came along, and Google is like a godsend. All the other search engines part of Google, you would type in anything, you would get porn. So when Google came along, at least you actually got some pretty intelligent answers. And, you had something that you could use. But GPT now, and that was a big leap forward over books and the current search engines of the time. Google was huge. GPT is huge. It's a big leap forward, just like Google was. And so I would strongly recommend, as a professional developer, that you start using GPT to just speed up your code process. Just how would you create an authenticator? Blah, blah, blah. Type it in. I'll be giving more examples, and you can start working your way through it, and you can just be much more productive. It's kind of like the low code platforms that you see out there, where you're writing a little bit of code using, a lot of times it's JavaScript, but you're able to generate some pretty complex apps pretty quickly. So that's it. So let me get to some Q&A. I hope you found this kind of useful. How was it? Okay, 20 minutes, not so bad. All right. As James Foreman says, GPT is a tool. That's all it is. I feel GPT is an accelerator for developers, not a replacement for them. 100%. It's like an IDE on steroids, IDE is short for Integrated Development Environments. How do we know Uncle Steph is not a ChatGPT bot? Well, one day I might be. You never know. How you feel about ChatGPT helping your workflow when freelancing? How much more productive do you think one can be? It's really hard to say. It depends on the type of development you're doing, but it can definitely be used in a lot of different ways. So, for example, you could use ChatGPT to write up proposals. Will speed up the process. You could use ChatGPT to write up boilerplate code, all kinds of different things. To research things, so you may have a client. You see, what happens when you're freelancing, or you're going to be working with clients, and they're going to have all kinds of different requirements because every company is different. So you may, like what I used to do, I used to walk into a gig and I used to say, okay, what do you got here? What technology are you using? What do you need to do? So you may have a situation, okay, how do I interface with this C library where I want to do X, Y, and Z? And that's where the AI could come in really handy sometimes. So I would just check into that. Investment question. Oh, here we go. You mentioned index funds before, and I was just wondering if you still abide with the stock market given the shakiness in our economy the past couple of years and now. Well, I don't have a crystal ball. So he's asking me whether or not you should invest in the stock market. You can never time the market. I can't tell you how many times when all the experts were saying, oh, the market's going to crash, and it didn't crash. Or all the times they said, oh, the market's strong, and it crashed. It's almost impossible to guess. You may get some guesses right here and there. But generally speaking, it's a very difficult proposition. So I would do what they call dollar cost averaging. That's what I do. Every month or every other month, depending on what your schedule is, you put in more into market. You put in more. So you keep buying. You keep buying into the market, up or down, because you can never know. You never time it. There might be some opportunities where you see the market crash really hard. That's a good buying opportunity. Whenever the market goes down, you have to look at it as it's on sale. Everything is on sale. It's time to buy. So yeah, I would just say dollar cost average. This is what the AI wants us to believe. Everything sucks. There you go. YouTube is owned by Google Alphabet. No, yes it is. Okay, I also answered that question. Anyone who knocks it just coping, really, it's an amazing tool overall. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Lucas Mariano from Brazil. Nathan Philip Connors from New York. Private something or another from Turkey. Missouri, London. Very cool. But when developers get more productive, the consequences, less of them are needed. No, that's an assumption, Daniel. You're assuming that We have plenty of developers now. We're at full capacity. We're not even close. There's a big lack of developers right now, number one. Number two, you're assuming that with the extra productivity in the types of work or the scope of work that we're working on now, that scope won't change. It will change. History teaches you, in my experience, I've seen that the scope will change, meaning certain jobs will become less important or less in demand because of productivity enhancements as a result of the AI. On the other hand, it will create new jobs that are AI specific. That's what's going to happen. Guarantee you on that one. So no, I wouldn't be too concerned. Just get used to it now. Just start using it. Yadula from Istanbul. Chaotic Gamer from Canada, from Norway, from Toronto. Freddie, I've just completed a CSS course as part of the mentorship. Hey, congratulations. My goal is to master Shopify and start my own Shopify store. What are your thoughts? I think that's cool. Just continue the material. Jump into the PHP, Python, just so you understand coding in general. And then I would jump into the freelance so you understand how to run projects. Yeah, I hope you did Lizard Wizard too. From Morocco, Canada. WordPress versus Shopify freelance. What are the pros and cons? I think there's a lot more WordPress demand. It's just because it's a much, like I did a video, well, it's videos coming out. I show that in terms of content management systems, I think WordPress has 43% of the market and growing at a clip around 10-12% per year. And Shopify, I think, has 3% or 4% of the market. So I think you're going to find many more WordPress jobs. That said, wherever the money is, you know, we love your vibes. I appreciate that. Thanks. All right. How are we doing here? Oh, it's getting a little dark. Hey, give me a second. You want to see some behind the scenes? So I use cinema cameras. So watch this. Boom. So I have a monitor over here, and I see all this data that you see on the screen. So right here, there we go. See that 1.8? That's the aperture. That's the hole in the lens. And so it's because of the, anyway, I'll stop here. So you got all these settings that I look at, and it helps me to understand how I can adjust my image so it looks good. So anyway, there you go. Exciting stuff. What do you think about OpenCart? I would have to look at it. I don't remember the details. Generally speaking, when it comes to a technology, if there is a market for it, then it's cool. If it offers some major productivity enhancements, that's also cool. So, Mohammed from Lebanon. Everything sucks. When I was doing blue-collar jobs, my dream was to get a white-collar job. When I finally got it, it turned out to be amongst my worst employment experience. Timed for IT, I think. Yeah, you know, sometimes blue-collar jobs can be pretty good, you know, except it's hard on the body. Yeah, white-collar jobs can be pretty bad, especially at large organizations. You may want to try, IT and development, but in a freelance space, so you have your autonomy and your independence. Although, if you're a valuable individual in a company on the tech side, you have a lot of weight. You know, you have a lot of weight. You have a lot of respect, typically. Yeah. Nathan, yeah, you should just check out the reviews. Ask Freddie. Join the Discord below. Ask people about my material. I have a Discord channel. Link is below. Over 3,500 members. So I invite you to join. Where is it? Do I have it here open? Yeah, I do have it open. Hold on a second. Let me just get it here. Boom. No, that's not it. Is it here? That's not it either. Where is it gone? Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm looking for, where's that window? There it is. Jesus. That's odd. Sorry, guys. I got so many views here. So here is my Code Long and Profit Discord. There it is. Code Law and Profit Discord. So yeah, I invite you to join the server. As I said, we got about 3,500 people. Lots of all levels, total beginners and aspiring developers and working developers. Pretty active. And yeah, so we get a lot of people joining. So here's this is the last few days. These are all the people who joined. So yeah, you should. I welcome you to join that Discord. Do you have any questions? Feel free. Also, if you're new to the stream, welcome to the stream. My name is Steph. Some people call me Uncle Steph. Welcome. I'd rather learn it the manual way than the automated way. To each his own. Speed kills. YouTube Live is the best. YouTube Live. Okay, I asked a question about how you prefer my lives, whether I do YouTube or do Instagram. I do maybe Twitter Spaces, YouTube Live. People are answering. Thanks for answering the question, guys. Steph, you're a techie. Why didn't you buy a Tesla? Because I don't. I want to do a lot of road trips. And I don't think I want to deal with the limitations of the charging stations that we currently have, as far as I know, with regards to electric vehicles. That's all. If I was just doing it for a city car, I would definitely get electric. But yeah, so that's the thing there. I wanted to get ICE engine. Here's the thing, though. The electrics, I think, in many ways are better than internal combustion engines, but in other ways, the ICE cars are better. It depends on how you look at it and what your use case is. That being said, even Volkswagen came out, and they're one of the biggest automakers in the world. They said that their green cars or their EVs will not be greener until you've driven at least 60,000 miles or 100,000 kilometers. So up until you drive 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles with an EV, this is according to Volkswagen. So, they said the ICE engines, the ICE-based vehicles are actually, they're greener. And one thing people don't think about is that there's a lot of oil being used to build these cars in the first place, and the mining of the lithium ion and all the minerals that we need for all those batteries is a very toxic process. So I don't know what the cost is there. So, so that's why I didn't get a Tesla, because I wanted a vehicle which would be good for long trips, because I don't want to have to wait in line an hour to charge my car, and I don't want to have to worry about trying to find a charging station. When in 5 years or whatever it is, 10 years, when there's charging stations everywhere, the batteries are far more efficient, the charging of batteries is far more efficient, then 100% I would get an EV, but not yet. Shorts. Yeah, you want me to do shorts? Is that going to be like the way Roel van de Par answering questions while moving through his day? I don't know who Roel van de Par is. I used to do a lot of videos from my car. One of the reasons I bought the new vehicle it's an SUV, but I bought it because it'll be perfect for doing live shows in it, because it has glass windows that are insulated for sound. It's got padding all over the place, so it really absorbs sound well. It's got a panoramic sunroof, and it's tinted, so it's going to let in a lot of soft light, I think. And it's got a lot of space, so I can mount a camera here and a camera there. So it's got space and room to do the live, so it's kind of fun. And it drives down the road for you. Not as good as a Tesla, but it keeps in the lane. So it's it'll be a kind of cool vehicle for that. Greetings from New Mexico. Greetings. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining, by the way. Let's get rid of Elon's tweeter. Uncle Steph's need a course from you on soft skills. I have a course called Lizard Wizard. Link is below. And that is going to help you quite a bit in terms of your soft skills. I'm going to be updating that. That was a popular course. A lot of people like that course. And I also have a free automation based on the Lizard Wizard tech. It's called Lizard Wizard KOMODO. And I'm coming out with new ones, I think, because people really like that stuff. Can Webflow indirectly help me with HTML, CSS, or even JavaScript concepts? A bit, I suppose. It's not going to be as good as GPT, that's for sure. But yeah, it can definitely help because you can see code being written and stuff. More time in a day to get things done that are interesting. Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I love about the advancement of these technologies, like I said, I've seen it before. Instead of having to spend hours and hours doing really boring stuff, the AI will be able to generate a lot of this, we hope. And so that you can spend your time on the more fun stuff, right? So that's cool. That's always cool. I'll give you an example. Back in the, late 90s, early 2000s, I was working on this big project for a publicly traded company. And I was one of this, there was a team of like 7 or 8 developers, and I was one of the developers on there. And they had to get this thing out within a few weeks to so that they could get their license and so on from the government. It's a big project. Anyhow, long story short, is a web app. So we had limited tech compared to today. And so we needed to build a date picker for this web app. And one of the developers, my buddy of mine, he worked on that date picker for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So then along came jQuery, and they had this jQuery date object, and now HTML5 has it where it takes you 1 minute to implement it. Boom, you're done. I welcome that. Like, who wants to spend 2 weeks writing code for a damn date picker, right? So I think that with GPT, it will take away some of this drone work that we have to do now. Does 1 year experience in a company as a developer enough to get a job in Canada? I'm not counting my freelancing years. Depends on the company if they're looking to hire you. Just put out your resume. You can watch a whole bunch of videos. I talked about this at length on YouTube. Just search through my back catalog. Right there is still a part of putting the pieces together after the bot outputs code you need. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Josh Ruiz rightly points out the bots, the AIs will put out chunks of code, like a nice tightly written algorithm, but it still has to be integrated into a system, and the system has to be put together, and the system has to be designed, and all the configuration issues will have to be dealt with. So what's the minimum knowledge, language, project, data structure before you can start applying for jobs? The minimum knowledge is that you're competent, that you're able to actually put out some work that's usable. Hardest part I found is what to prompt for while trying to learn coding. I really want a game similar to Scrapes for Python. Well, that's it. Persistent, snafu, you must learn the basics of code. That's the point. So I suggest take my Python course. You'll do that course, you'll know your way around Python, you understand Python modules, you understand the basic constructs of language, and then all of a sudden, GPT will become super useful to you. You can't go there, I guess you could, but you go there trying to work with it, and you know nothing. That's very difficult. So you have to have a certain basic body of knowledge to be able to use it properly. All right. Wash hand is an applause. I'm a senior software dev, and I'm not concerned about ChatGPT either. And I agree with you, Steph. Most of the people doomsaying about AI probably don't do much work in tech. Yeah, there's a lot of pretenders. There's a lot of pretenders on the YouTubes and elsewhere. Steph, I'm using ChatGPT to better understand Laravel docs and PHP syntax. Perfect, Daniel. Perfect. So you have a base of knowledge, then you go to GPT and start putting questions to it and getting answers. That's what's really great about it. You know, you're doing a tutorial and you're walking through the tutorial and then questions come up. You're like, I don't understand that part. But, you know, the person recorded the tutorial, so they can't answer your questions. ChatGPT can. All right, let me take a little break from the Q&A, and I'm going to do what I always, well, not always, but I typically do. So, my recommendations for reading and music. So, since I'm an ancient geezer, 169 years old, I have old taste. So, this is a One of the best albums of all time. I highly recommend you listen to it on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you like music. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. Great album. Fantastic album. Tons of great songs. Well recorded. High quality audio. So it's a great album. I have the vinyl. I have a whole bunch of albums, but LPs like this. But these days I use Deezer. But anyway, so there it is. So Ziggy Stardust, one of the best albums of all time. I think it's his best album, personally, in my opinion. So that's recommendation number 1. This is a little bit of mental training, strategic training. If you don't know, I did martial arts for 25 years. I did a lot of martial arts, a lot of fighting. So I'm very influenced by books like this. The Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi. This is a classic strategy book written by a samurai, I don't know, about 500 years ago. And required reading in Japan for all business people. It's a book of strategy, so I highly recommend this book. Yeah, what else do I got here? So if you're total beginner and you like to read, I have a book too. That's not it. Here we go. I have a book too. Web Design Start Here. You can still get it on Amazon. I wrote this years ago, but it's still 100% accurate. Why? Because the web has not changed since I wrote this book. People like this book. I got a lot of good reviews. It's a great way to get your head wrapped around the whole web thing. You read this book, you're going to understand HTML5 fantastically. You're going to understand CSS really well. And you're going to understand the web in general, which is the basis of all web development. Finally, that's for total beginners. Finally, if you are a developer and you're looking to level up your game, then I would suggest this book. This is refactoring. Refactoring is a process of code cleanup. And this is a classic book. It's one of the few books I kept from this is like a 25-year-old copy or whatever this is. Highly recommended. This is for Java, and there's one for JavaScript. It's universal. The principles you learn here are universal across the languages. So I highly, highly recommend. Links below. This is the book. If you are a beginner intermediate and you want to really up your skills as a coder, this is the one. All right, that's it. Those are my recommendations of the day. So, yeah. What else do we got for quick? How are we doing for time? Oh, 47 minutes. Time flies. Thoughts on blockchain development. Blockchain is niche. Remember we had a big brouhaha about the blockchain a few years ago. Everybody said, blockchain's everything. It's kind of like become a super niche. As I said at the time, you go, we'll look at videos back in the day. It is a niche technology. It's a distributed database. It's cool. But it's not like the iPhone, you know. It's not like AI. It's cool, but it's niche. As a quick reminder, you can check out my Code Long and Profit Discord server. We have over 3,500 members. Link is below. I invite you to join. So when this stream is over, you can have conversations with people. Yeah, Code Long. Yeah, that's it. There you go. Check it out, the Discord server. We have a growing community, all level of developers there. I'll answer a few more questions. My voice is starting to lose it. Do you think front-end development will change with AI moving forward? No. If Figma could spit out the component code using AI from the design itself, maybe front-end devs will become more like designers. Again, something I've been saying for a long time, the code that you write is almost the icing on the cake. So for me, I welcome an AI writing the code out. So no, it's not going to change it. It's just going to speed it up. Well, I guess that's a change. Hi, Steph. Jafar. Welcome to stream. Steph, I will probably learn Webflow as it seems to be a good tool to create nice UI UX. Yep, why not? But it's still worth it to code interfaces with HTML and CSS for sure. I want to save time as a freelancer. Well, behind the scenes, Webflow is going to be writing your HTML and CSS. And I believe one of the advantages of Webflow is you can go in there and edit the code. So yeah, you know, it's not one or the other. They work together, you know. Does ChatGPT work for Tinder messages? You should try that out. That's your job, web developer ninja. You have to go on Tinder using ChatGPT generated messaging and you know, copy, and give us a report when you get back next week. Where do you get your stylish hoodies? I found this hoodie at some store, and I forget which one. And I bought 3 copies because I plan to use them. It's going to be my thing for videos. Also like hoodies. I live in a cold climate, so I like to, keeps me warm, you know. When learning a concept, I like to ask GPT to give me an X amount of exercises. Each exercise should be detailed and build on the previous exercise. So there you go. See, that's very cool. Yeah, I say cool, cool, cool. Exactly how I see it. Those with no knowledge won't know what to ask. Exactly. That's why you got to get some knowledge. You got to get some knowledge. So I'm going to shamelessly plug. I have a mentoring program. It's unique. You'll be using, first of all, my interactive training, where you're going to learn the fundamentals of code, including the web stack, JavaScript, and then you're going to learn Python, and you're going to learn PHP and SQL and much more. You learn soft skills, you learn how to manage projects, you learn how to manage clients, you learn how to run projects, and much, much more. We have live coaching sessions, links below. Or just go to UncleSteph.com. Yeah. It's an amazing tool to learn with. Yeah, exactly. Why less old developers? Why less old developers? I'm not sure about that. Hi, Uncle Steph. Ukrainian immigrants testify to land any job in Canada. You've got to have a friend at a company or get Canadian experience or Canadian education. Is this true for dev jobs too? I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know. I know my father has been helping Ukrainian immigrants in Canada settle. So they're very open to Ukrainian immigration. I've done a lot of videos on this. I won't go, there's a lot of details, but a lot of it has to do with how you present yourself. You know, if you can show that you're going to be a valuable asset to Canada or anywhere else, then your probabilities of landing jobs will increase quite a bit more. Quite a bit more. Okay. One of my favorite prompts is explain X to someone with an IQ of 110 and then explain to someone with IQ. Then explain to someone with 140 IQ. That's interesting. That helps. I was thinking of using as prompting it as a programming judge. New term for me. Yeah. Hey, good evening, Kevin. How are you? Cheers. If you're wondering why I do this, I borrowed this from Star Trek. In Star Trek, the Vulcans would say, live long and prosper. I say, code long and profit. Like my Discord server. If you go down, links below, I got a Discord server. We got over 3,500 members. You want to have conversations with people learning how to code. We have all kinds of areas of discussions and motivation, music, all kinds of different things. So very cool. All right, what's going on? Yeah. All right, last few questions, and I'll let you go. So I'm about to graduate with a 2-year in CIS, and I currently have a web development work study at the college. I want to move out of the state, but I don't know how to get my foot into the door. Any advice? Go watch some previous videos. I talk about that ad nauseum. So there's lots of videos where I say how to get your first job as a coder. Where can I get more information on your mentor program? I'm very interested in joining it. Just go to just go to UncleSteph.com. I should make this big. There you go. Go to UncleSteph.com. You can watch a bunch of videos where I describe everything and read reviews and so on. Yeah, UncleSteph.com. Why Uncle Steph? Because people call me Uncle Steph. Firefox or Chrome for dev tools. That's a personal taste. I hear Firefox has gotten much better recently. I typically use Chrome myself, but they're all pretty good. It's a personal choice at this point. Hey, Steph, do you think a master's degree from Maharishi University is worth it to get a job in this rough job market? And if you're familiar with the university, Compro or software engineering, I don't know that university, but I would just start investigating job opportunities and make your decision based on that. Will the demand for developers increase, or with the advent of AI tools, will that demand slow down? I think the demand will increase. I just think that the type of work that we'll do will shift again, which is good. As a result, you'll be doing less tedious work in some respects. The quality of the code will just improve because of AI, and there'll be new markets opened up. There'll be new markets opened up as a result of the AI innovations. All right. Hey, Sergeant, how are you, man? So, I'm just going to close up the stream now. So, I've been on almost an hour almost. So, I'm going to try to do regular streams, Instagrams, YouTube. I haven't decided what time I'm going to set everything at. Maybe some Twitter, what do you call it? The Twitter things where you can share, multiple people can talk at the same time. Twitter Spaces, there we go. And we'll see. So leave a comment below this video. What questions you may have, comments on the stream, what type of topics you like to discuss. So for example, I can get into, I'm not going to do nitty gritty about coding because my mentoring program or my solo courses gives you all the nitty gritty. You do my mentoring program, you do my solo courses, you will be very confident in your coding skills. I get into everything you need. So I won't go into that here. This is kind of supplement. I'll talk about coding news, job opportunity news. Tell me if you guys want me to cover more personal finance, more lizard wizard and soft skills more. Let me know. Comments. Leave a comment. I'd like you to do more lizard wizard stuff. I'd like you to do more finance. No, I'd like to go more hardcore into coding news. Let me know. Now that I'm getting back into the lives again, freelance. You want me to discuss freelance? I read the comments. Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. So there you go. Check out. I was subscribed to my channel because I'm going to be conducting polls on YouTube to see what people are thinking about time to do the streams, etc., etc., etc. So I appreciate. Hey, Derek. Hey, man, how are you doing? Cool. All right, so that's about it. I'm losing my voice here, and it's been an hour. So yeah, leave comments below. Let me know, and barring no unforeseen illness or events, I plan on doing more streams again on a regular basis. I enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Cheers.